You did it! Your Cricut is out of the box, you've made a test cut, and now it's time to make a real project. I'm Robin, and I'm going to take you step by step through the 5 steps of making this custom card and matching envelope, as well as teach you how to follow the prompts in Design Space for this free for Cricut Maker project. That's right, there's no need to spend any more money because this one is free for all Cricut Maker owners. Welcome to the club. For this project, you will need a light colored piece of cardstock size 8.5 by 11 for your basic card. Then for your envelope liner, you will need at least a 7 by 8.5 inch piece. I chose this 12 by 12 sheet just because of the print. Then you'll need a scrap piece of icing, and I just got this out of my scrap pile, and that will need to be at least 2.5 by 3.5. Then you need a 12 by 12 sheet of a solid color for your envelope, and then 4.5 by 6 inch sheet for your card insert. You will also need tape runner for assembling your envelope. Of course, you will need your fine point blade and housing. You will need either your scoring wheel, number 01 for your maker, or the Cricut scoring stylus. Last but not least, you'll need a yellow pen for your flame and a black pen for your writing. To get started, find your Cricut Design Space app on your desktop and click to open. You will be brought to your home page, and we're going to select New Project in the upper right hand corner. This will bring you to your canvas. Over on the left hand side you have a taskbar, and we're going to select Projects. Under this drop down menu for all projects, we're going to scroll down to Free for Cricut Maker Projects, and we're going to find this free cake birthday card and hit select. We're going to click Make It. Oh, it says this project is incompatible. Well, we know it's not because it is a free project for Cricut Maker, and we have a Cricut Maker, so we're going to click on Customize to see what is the error. Over here on the right hand side, there's a red exclamation point. We're going to click on that, and it shows us that the error has to do with the draw feature for the yellow pen. If you click on it, it highlights the area that is the issue. So we're going to click on that exclamation point, and it says not supported by Maker. The pen is incompatible. Change the pen selection. Right here, I believe Cricut's intention was to alert you if you would like to change the color of your flames to perhaps red or orange or some other color, you can do so. So we're going to come over here to pen operation. It says that it's set up for a pen, and that is correct. So we're going to click on the question mark next to it, and we're going to scroll down and just let the software know which pen we intend to use. And I'm going to click on yellow. Now, as you can see over here on the right, that red exclamation point is no longer there, which means we're good to make our project. So we're going to come up and hit Make. I don't need to save the project, so I'm going to click Don't Save. And you're brought to this screen that shows you all 5 mats that are going to be loaded in order to complete this project. It shows you what function is going to happen on each one and the order that it's going to happen. So you're going to start with a score first, then your pen, then a basic cut. This just simply lets you know what you need to have available for this particular mat. You also have the option down here to choose whether you're going to load it onto a mat or not. With the Cricut Maker, you don't have the option of not using the mat, so the only option we do have of changing is the material size. So if you're not using a 12 by 12 sheet of paper, you can come down and select 8.5 by 11. I went right past it. 8.5 by 11, and it will show you on the display where this is going to cut and how it's going to be oriented. The same is true with each of the other upcoming operations. For the second mat, you will score and do a basic cut. The third mat, you're going to do just a basic cut. The fourth mat, you'll do a score and basic cut. And for the final mat, you're going to use a pen and a basic cut. So we'll click continue. Here we are at the machine. We're going to go ahead and release the lever for our fine point blade and housing. We're going to switch out and put in the scoring wheel, making sure that this plastic is nice and flat against the back. And we're going to clamp that into place. And then we're going to release the accessory side. And we're going to insert our fine point black pen and clamp that up. And now we're simply going to add our piece of cardstock to our light grip mat, matching it up in the top left corner, making it straight across the top. And then we're going to come in with a brayer and brayer it down just to keep it in place. Then we're going to hit continue. It is searching for the machine. It's found the maker. Once your machine has connected, you will come to this screen here where you're going to choose what type of material you're using. We are using cardstock. I'm going to put heavy cardstock just because it varies between each sheet and I would rather it cut a little bit deeper than not enough. And I'm going to keep it at default pressure. It tells me that I'm to load my tools and my material. So the first thing it wants is to load the Midnight pen into clamp A. Then we're going to load the double scoring wheel in clamp B. I'm going to click on Edit Tools because I am using a single scoring wheel. And then I'm going to hit Apply. So now it knows that I want to use the single scoring wheel. This is where you would also go in and say if you wanted to use the scoring stylus. And then it tells us to load our mat by pressing the Load Unload button. The next thing coming up will be the fine point yellow pen. Back at the machine, we're just lining up our mat on either side under these guides, making sure they're both underneath. And then we're going to hit our load button as we give a little bit of pressure on the end of the mat. We know it's loaded correctly because the mat is in under both guides on the left and under both guides on the right. It went in straight and everything looks great. So we're going to go ahead and press start. The machine does a slight calibration. It starts the score. And now it's doing the write feature. For all of the black parts, this pen will continue writing until it's time to switch out for the yellow pen. And now it's time to load the yellow pen into clamp A and then press go. So looking back at our computer screen, we can see that it's telling us it's time to load the fine point blade into clamp B in place of where the scoring tool is. Once we've done that, we're going to press the go. So this time we're going to take the pen out of clamp A and close it up because we're not going to put anything else back in there. And then we're going to switch out our blade out of clamp B. We're going to take out the scoring wheel and we're going to drop in our fine point blade and housing and clamp that shut. Now that we have our blade in place, we can hit go. It's currently cutting out the middle cake sections, and now it's cutting an outline around the entire card to complete our project. And now we unload our mat. Before removing your material from your mat, make sure that you have capped up all your pens so that they don't dry out. To remove the material from your mat, flip your mat down with the paper up against your surface, and you're just going to gently peel back the mat away from your project. This gets the excess material off, and you can toss that in your scrap bin. And now we're going to pull off the actual card segment. And I'm using my fingers to press up against the paper to keep it from curling. To remove these sections, simply use your spatula to dig up underneath and remove them from your mat. You're wanting to make sure that you don't get your fingers touching the stickiness of the mat because that will add oils to the mat and decrease its stickiness. And those will also go in our scrap bin. So this just shows that we need to load the single scoring wheel again, and then we'll need to hit go. Next, we're going to load the paper that we chose for our envelope liner onto our mat. We're going to line up our mat under the guides on the right and left, and then press load while pressing gently on the end of the mat. And we're good to go. So we press the Cricut logo. The machine goes through a slight calibration, and then it starts to score your envelope liner. This flashing Cricut logo indicates that you need to look at your computer screen to see what you need to do next. So we're going to switch out the scoring and put in the fine point blade and housing. and then hit go. Before unloading the mat from the machine, I want to test to make sure that the cardstock has cut all the way through. So I'm just going to lift up on the paper and check, and I can see that we have cut all the way through, so we are good. If yours did not cut all the way through, be certain to switch back to the scoring tool for the score function and rerun the entire mat, starting with the score function and then switching out back to the blade. And then we're going to remove our material from our mat. So for this segment, it is showing us that we need whatever color cardstock we chose for our little rows of icing. Again, if you need to adjust, you can come up here and choose more pressure, less pressure, whatever you need. But we're going to keep it at the default because I know that the paper that I'm using is going to work well with the cut. So now we just need to make sure that we have the fine point blade is still in clamp B. So we're just going to load our mat and go with the cut. For this particular segment, I have a piece of paper that has stuff already cut out of it. So I'm going to trim it down just so that I have one solid piece to work with. These pieces can easily come loose from your mat when the machine does its calibration. So I don't want to mess up the paper. So I've cut it down to just this little piece right here. And I'm going to line that up and take it to the machine. So we're just going to remove the material the same way we have for all the others. And one of the pieces has come loose. And we'll just pick that off the mat, or you can use a tweezers. This particular piece is a little bit caught up in the left-hand corner. So we're just going to trim that with an X-Acto knife. And we're just going to come in here with the tip of our X-Acto knife right on that cut line and just sever the fibers of the paper that did not cut all the way through. And we're back to our design screen. This segment number 4 is showing that we need to do a score and then a basic cut. So we're going to have to switch our tool back out again. So on this particular mat, instead of switching out the tools, I'm going to go in here to edit tool type, and I'm going to select the scoring stylus. That way I don't have to switch between the single scoring wheel and the fine point blade. And click apply. This time I'm going to use the scoring stylus. I'm going to drop it in and I'm going to snap it down until I can no longer see the arrow. Be sure to close the clamp before hitting your start button. Now all we need is our mat and we can press go. Now we're going to take our 12 by 12 piece of cardstock and line it up for our envelope. Mine is white, but yours might be another color that's light. Make sure you do use a lighter color because it will need to have writing on it to put a name on the outside of the envelope. And we're back to the machine. So we're going to press go. Then we hit start. We'll do the calibration, and this time it has engaged clamp A. It's the #1 reason for having a scoring stylus, even though you have the scoring wheel. Saves you time setting up the machine when doing a project. Look at that cut. Nice and clean. You can really even see the scoring lines there. See right through here are all of our scoring lines, and we can see them very well. So we're going to unload the mat and release our material. I'm sticking my hands down on top of the envelope piece and moving slowly at the same time. Make sure you don't bend your mat too much. You can crack it. I've done that before. And there's our envelope. All right, now we're on page 5, and this shows that we have a pen and a basic cut. We know that our fine point blade is already in clamp B, so it's time to just load clamp A with a midnight pen. For our last step, we're going to line up our cardstock right here for the card piece. It's about the same size as this one right here, and this will stay down really well during the calibration process, so I'm not worried about that as much as I was the other piece. But I am going to brayer it down just to make sure that we don't make a mess. All right, we have our mat ready to load. We're going to switch out, take out our stylus, and put in our midnight pen. Drop that down. You might want to hold up just slightly on the bottom as you snap that into place so you're not putting too much pressure on that carriage, and then make sure to clamp them shut before hitting load. I like to keep the cap of my pen on the end so that I can keep up with it better and not lose it. And now we're going to hit go. So the operation will always start with the pen and always end with a cut. And we're done writing. Now it's calibrating and setting up for the cut. I love using the Cricut for writing because I don't really care for my own writing. And we're going to unload. Before we try and do anything else, we're going to take that pen out and cap it up so it doesn't dry out. Once again, we're going to release our material from our mat. You will want to make sure that your surface doesn't have anything loose that's going to stick to the tackiness on the mat. And then release our cardstock piece and set it aside with the rest. Now that we're done cutting, I want to go ahead and recover my mat, and I'm just going to lay the film on the surface up at the top and drop it down. I like to put a piece of washi tape in the upper left-hand corner right next to the word Cricut, just so that I know which side of the film is the side that's supposed to go against the tackiness of the mat. Once you're finished with step 5, your design space is going to look like this. You now have some new options. Down here you have project instructions and you have done. Let's say you wanted to make another card. You could start this whole process all over again and just slide up and click on Score Pen Basic Cut step number 1 and start all over. I'm not going to do that, so we're going to come back down here and I want to look at the project instructions. And here it shows you exactly how to go about step by step assembling your card and envelope, as well as showing you what images were used to create the project and other people who have made the same project or a spin-off from that project. Some other options you have on this screen are to give it a heart. If you love the project, let Cricut know by clicking the heart to let them know that you like it. And it'll tell you what number of person you were in the order of liking, if that matters to you. The other option you have is to share the project. So if you click on share, you can copy the link, you can send it straight to Facebook, or you can send it straight to Pinterest. Copied puts it in your clipboard and you can send it through email or any other way. If you want to share it with Facebook, click on that. You'll need to put in your email or phone number and your password to log into Facebook, and then you're able to share it. Same is true with Pinterest. Pinterest, I find, if you're already logged into your account, it's going to open it directly and you can share it in any way you want. If you really love the project like I do, you come down here and click on this bookmark so that next time you go to make it, you don't have to search as hard for it. And here are the assembly instructions. And once you're done with the instructions, you can just click on this X and then choose Done. No worries if you still need to know how to assemble it and you accidentally hit Done. You can also click on the title up here in the left-hand corner, which will bring it back, and you can re-access the instructions for assembling. And then it just takes you back to your canvas in Design Space, where you can choose to save your project by coming up here and clicking Save, or you can start a new project. Click on Project, start a new project, or start designing by clicking New and getting a fresh screen and starting with some shapes from this tab, maybe some images from this tab, some text from here to start designing on your own. And now we're ready to assemble. I'm going to divert a little bit from the written instructions on the project because I feel like it's a little bit out of order. So I'm going to take this piece here and my yellow cardstock piece, and I want to line those up first. In the instruction, it tells you to attach your icing above each of these words, but I really like to have it lined up from side to side on my opening. So I'm going to attach the yellow cardstock first. First, I'm going to find the little bends from my scoring lines and get an idea of where exactly that score line is. And then give it a good crease. You can even come through with a boning tool and just run it across that fold to get it nice and flat. Now that I know where that scoring line is, I can better line up my yellow cardstock to fit inside where it belongs. So I'm going to take my tape runner and I'm going to make a line all the way down this side and across the bottom and across this side and across the top. You want to make sure you're not getting too close to the edge of the card. I think I did that here because you don't want it to pick up tack and stick to the other side of the card when it's folded. So I'm going to take my yellow cardstock and I'm going to hover it over the area that's available, making sure that I have equal spacing on the top, the bottom, and both sides. And then I'm just going to smooth it into that adhesive and fold it over. Then I'm going to take my fine point glue pen and just run a bead of glue across this top edge and the same down here. Now on this one, I want to make sure I get a little bit up under this piece. So I'm going to lift it with my spatula to make sure some gets underneath there to help hold that in place. And I'm going to cap up my glue. And I like to use these reverse tweezers for helping get my placement accurate. So I'm going to lay that down and squish it into the glue. Scoosh. You didn't know that was a real word, did ya? It is. It's a real word. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my other piece of icing. Hovering it, making sure that it's equal distance side to side. Letting go. And scooshing it a little bit more. As you can see, I have a little bit of excess glue right through here. I don't know if you can see that or not. And I'm just going to scrape that up so it doesn't leave a blob. Then while that dries, we're going to take our envelope and liner and we're going to find the score line on each. It's a little harder to find on this thicker cardstock, but we want to make sure that it's very accurate. We're going to give that a nice little run with the boning tool. Give a nice fold. And the same thing is true with the envelope. I'm going to fold. Run the boning tool. Fold. Run the boning tool. And fold. And run the boning tool. On all four sides, we have folded it and run the boning tool across it. So now we have our envelope liner, but it's folded in such a way that if we were to line up the two folds so that they fold together, it's backwards. So all we have to do is bend it back the other way and line it up. So we're going to line it up in place, and then we're going to put our adhesive on the back side of the liner, getting as close to the edge as possible and a little bit in the middle. And then we're just going to fold it down. If you need to make some slight adjustments, you can, and then press it into place. And then we're going to do the same thing for the inside square. We're going to run our liner here, here, and here, as well as up here. And fold it down into place and smooth it in. Again, you can take your brayer through if you think you need to, just to help get that adhesive bonded between the two pieces of paper. To assemble the envelope, you're going to want to fold in both sides and then the bottom coming up. So now that we have an idea of where this comes together, we're going to pull this part down and we're going to add some adhesive. You're wanting to make sure that you're about 1/2 inch down below that edge and go all the way to the end. Same thing on this side. And then flip it around, and you're going to want to do these edges over here as well. Be sure you don't get too far into this corner, and then line it up and fold it down. As you can tell, these sides are nice and stuck. There's not big gaps. If you find that you have some gaps, make sure you go back and add some more adhesive. But now we have a gorgeous envelope that's lined with a beautiful color and a pretty card to match it. And stick it in the envelope to address. You may even want to add a seal right here. If you do, check out the video up here. And I like that a little bit better than just the outline for the flames. So you do you, but I'm gonna stick with the yellow. And that's it. You just made a beautiful card and matching envelope using your Cricut Maker. Can you believe it was that easy? I hope you enjoyed the step-by-step tutorial and found it helpful. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more Cricut projects and other crafting tutorials. Oh, and make sure to hit the bell icon so you're the first to get notified every time I post a new video. Thanks for creating with me today. Now, go create what's possible.